All right. What's good, guys? Welcome to episode 20 of the Thru It All Podcast. So the idea behind each episode is to uncover one's true story and kind of have honest conversations about overcoming just the difficulties of life. So with today's special guest, we have Vincent Thomson. Vince was born in Las Vegas, Nevada, and graduated from Green Valley High School in 2020. So you're currently a student here at CUI, majoring in psychology. And you also run on the cross-country team and track team. So a lot of props for that, man. I couldn't run that far.
No, thank you, man. That's it's definitely a privilege to run on this track and field team or cross-country team. This school has a lot of history with this sports and just providing the student athletes with great opportunities. That was kind of one of the main reasons I came here. Was just because, of course, of how close this campus is with everybody. Like everybody knows each other, and especially on the track and cross country team, it's like a big family. That's
sweet. How'd you find Concordia? Because I feel like a lot of people's ways of finding Concordia is always different.
Yeah, it's weird because, man, I didn't even this place is such a small place. I didn't even knew it existed.
Yeah.
Man, throughout high school, my junior year, I didn't get many offers, to come do collegiate sports. So in my mail, I got in my mailbox the letter from Concordia, and I was like, you know what I'm saying? Okay,
right.
I'm not getting many other offers, so I took a chance and came down here and visited. And Coach Bloomfield, kind of gave me a great tour of the place, and I didn't really fall in love with it, but it was on the top of my list because I wasn't getting many offers from many schools. But yeah, that's how I kind of found out about it.
That's sweet, man. You said in high school you were a hooper.
Yes. That really didn't work out, but yeah, I tried out for the basketball team freshman year. Coming in, thought I was all that. One of those. Out of the stereotypical, the white boy, you can shoot threes. But I took that on, now I could only shoot threes, but I really couldn't do anything else. You kind of see I'm not that big of a dude, so barely knew how to do a layup with my left hand.
Right.
So it was rough. Didn't even make I definitely made the freshman team, kind of how everybody does on your team, but I was right away, I was nah, just fell out of love with it right away, and I was no, yeah. I'm good. And then ended up finding cross country off of one of my best friends, so it was great transitioning from basketball to this whole different sport. Running was kind of basketball's punishment,
right?
Ways to get some stamina and get some endurance, but right away I fell in love with running. That's weird to say.
Yeah.
But, from, because I'm from Vegas, we would have to wake up early in the mornings to, get running done. And it was a tough, I would always show up late. I would show up in my basketball shoes still, and the coach would always get upset at me. But yeah, it was cool. It was cool making that transition.
Would you say you still love running today the same way you did when you just first started?
It's up and down, man.
Yeah.
Especially what basically every day here is. As a collegiate athlete, it's tough. I feel for a lot of people it becomes a chore almost, especially at this level.
For sure.
Because you are starting to hey, I'm not that good. Okay, I'm not going to maybe make it to the professional level. So I think a lot of people slowly start to shut down a little bit and start to really focus on what their passions are outside of sports. A big thing that my coach always says running shouldn't be my identity, and I think that's what a lot of athletes make it in high school. It's their identity. So I think usually when things kind of don't go their ways, in high school or the beginning of college, I think that's where you kind of see people quit or leave their sport because it's their identity, and then people just kind of leave it because things aren't really working out or they don't want to go through the thick of it. But that's kind of where where I was at. Like I said, the example of basketball, I just fell out of love with it. But where I am now, man, it's definitely been up and down, and I think that, like I said, it is for a lot of people. But the love definitely really isn't. It's there, but it's definitely not the same.
No, I got you, because, I mean, I can definitely relate to that, as I'm playing basketball here too. But it's interesting that you talked about, like, it being your identity, and, like, people, like, starting to fall off as you get older because, okay, I'm not going to be pro. Like, you know, I got to find something else, which ties perfectly into the mental health stuff.
Absolutely.
That you said you're a big advocate for, and you want to start talking about on the pod. So, yeah, start with that. Talk about, like, why or what got you started on being, like, full or all in on mental health.
Yeah. So it is such a big thing with mental health in athletes, and you are seeing it kind of now, like in all of the major sports, like it's starting to grow. Like Simone Biles,
right?
You kind of saw how that turned out in the Olympics, and everybody was like, "Why did you do that? Like, you left on your team, like you bailed your team, like you could have won so much more." But I definitely was on that board too a little bit. I was like, why did she do that? But I think that was my, really starting point of like, okay, maybe what she did, was to protect herself.
Right.
And I think, of course, she's a great teammate. Like, but mental health always comes first. And what, like, I've seen my friends go through, and what what everybody goes through, and everybody's stories. It's big. Like, it affects how we act. It affects our personality. It's a real thing. Not a lot of people think depression and anxiety is a real thing. But as I'm going through my psychology major, and as I'm going through my classes, that's a big reason why I'm in this major, because I want to help out people like that. And depression and anxiety is a huge thing.
Right.
For those people and those symptoms. So
no, I got you. So going back to like the Simone Biles, right? What was so she was it the finals? Because I don't remember the exact situation.
Yes. Me neither, really. But yes, she was definitely in the finals, like up for contention of winning a gold medal.
Right.
And I think it was, I don't know much about, stunt and dance and a lot of stuff like that, but it was such a big thing because she was in the finals. Like, I don't remember if it was the team thing or if it was the individual thing, but I think it was the team, like, routine, like they had to do. And of course, she's probably the best ever. She
has her own, like, the terminology I'm going to use is bad because I'm not, like, well versed in it. Yeah. But, like, she has her own move based off of her name. It's literally called Simone Biles or whatever. It's crazy.
There is so many moves, like, named after her, and she's just and I think that's where it's gets into another point of mental health. Probably we all think that, like, professional athletes, like robots almost.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
They can just go out there, like, they don't feel anything. Like, oh, hey, they make tens of millions of dollars all the time. Like, they win gold medals. Like, oh, they don't feel anything.
Perfect.
Like, why are you not happy? Your life is perfect. Like, how could you have mental disease or mental illness? And you saw that with her. That was a prime example. That was probably the biggest stage.
Right.
Was the Olympics, and she stepped out of it to prove a point. And like I said, I was definitely baffled and kind of upset, confused too. Like, I think everybody was, but then reality hit, and I was like, wow. Like, and I respect her for
100%.
that. I respect it.
100%. Like, I think that's a great turning point because it got people talking about, like,
absolutely
what needs to be addressed. It's so easy for people just watching something, right, to assume. Because all they see, everyone who's watching just sees her step out. Yeah. No one sees the 4 years of preparation to get to the Olympics. And that's not even, like, including all the time she went and was working on her craft.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. But people feel like they have a right to judge that when they didn't see all that behind-the-scenes work.
Oh,
like, it's the same thing with movies. Like, movies are produced, but the time, it's like at one an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. But all the time before that, the retakes, everything. So, yeah, man, mental health is huge. Do you think it's addressed? Like, I feel like it's addressed a lot more now, but is it, like, acted on like it should be?
That it's such a tough thing because usually with people with mental illnesses, like you even see it here, like, I have great respect for what they're doing here. like down at the clinic, and they have a psychiatrist there that will help kind of student athletes that are kind of going through it. But I think it could be gone a little bit more, like pushed a little bit more, because I think a lot of those student athletes who are having those mental illnesses are like too far deep. Like it's tough. I was there in that position too. Like I didn't want to get help, because I thought everything was fine. Like, hey, this will pass over. Like I'm just sad. Usually a lot of times those people don't think it's big.
Right.
But like, oh man, why am I so tired today? Or like, oh man, why am I not eating? Because like those are symptoms, of a mental illness, and sometimes people don't realize.
Right.
So that's why I know Glory, our trainer, he's all the time advocating for that. But I think a lot of student athletes don't even realize.
Right.
That they have some mental illnesses. So they definitely are acting on it. But I think there could be a little bit more of a push from everybody overall.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And do you feel like it has been like a tough journey? Because I know you just hurt your foot.
Yes.
You broke your metatarsals, right?
Yes.
About like a month ago?
Yes. So that...
Talk about the mental state of that, like going through it.
It's funny because... Going through that, I had never really broken a bone, like especially in running before. So this was something new, but it's going back to kind of how student athletes don't even realize that they have a mental illness. I have experienced so many injuries, like throughout high school and throughout here. Like every single season, I'm a sophomore. Every single cross country season and track season, I have been hurt. And going through that, it was because running was my identity, and it's impacted me so much. Like, and I did depressive state, like my senior year of high school, in my left ankle, I ended up tearing one of my ligaments. Like, it wasn't bad, like I needed surgery, but there was a slight tear in one of my ligaments, and I was out for my whole senior year of cross country. Like, I had gotten to run one race, and then that was it. So senior year of cross country, and then what happened next year was COVID.
Right.
But getting out of that was I was on crutches for like 8 weeks, and I had my ankle always taped up, and seeing all of my friends get their senior year, and get their senior cross country, of course I was proud for them. I'm not being selfish, but I was proud. But seeing their times just drop. And them get to go to special places that we never had been before in race, it was very, very hard, seeing that, and literally like cried myself to sleep.
Really?
Like it's I'm not shameful of admitting that, because I think more people need to.
No, I appreciate that, man.
No, but I would always cry, because that was my identity, and going through all these other injuries, right as soon as I got here, I ended up getting hurt. I strained my groin muscle on my hip, and right away it's like, oh, here we go again, But I think I've learned so much of how to stay calm. But it's like at this point, it's like, man, I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of getting numb. I'm kind of getting numb to this feeling of getting hurt. So I don't know if that's like a signal, that's sending me. But this one was different. This one didn't have that big of an impact, which is weird, especially with breaking my bone. This one didn't have that big of an impact on me, because I feel like I've already been drained, with all the other injuries that I had. So this one, of course, it hurt me.
Right.
Like the first couple of days, it was like, like here we go again. Start the process. But I had people around me, that was there, and I also think that's very important for mental health. Just being, it's cliche. I don't know if you ever heard of be kind.
Yes.
It's a cliche, man. I always, if I always see someone walking alone, or like, you just gotta say, what's up, to those people. But I had a great community around me that have helped me through, each one of these injuries. So
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you never want to be hurt. You always want to be healthy, but you were prepared for that because you've been through it before. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's kind of the blessing. To quote like Big Sean, the blessing depending on the angle, the way you look at it, it could always be reframed to like, oh, okay, like this can actually help me.
Absolutely.
So respect for you for seeing it like that.
Thank you.
And then just finish off with the last question.
Yeah.
What does Thru It All mean to you?
Thru It All means to me, man, it's big. I think that's a simple phrase, but like you were saying before we started, it's through it all. Everybody has their own story, of where they got in their life, man, and I think that's what makes humans so special. Like, because we can all feel the same emotions, we can all go through the same mental illnesses, or we can all break our bones, but man, every single one of us is different, and have their own stories. And you can kind of see it with me. I didn't grow up in like a rich family, but I grew up moderately. We weren't poor. My dad was a teacher, so the teacher's salary. It's not the best, but there was nights where we were just sitting at the table eating ramen because we didn't have much food, because that was my middle school days of when my parents got divorced. So that was definitely tough, going through divorce in the family, but my story, growing up, with parents who are divorced, especially my crucial years of high school in 7th and 8th grade, those are crucial points for, a kid growing up. So not really having, a stable environment for growing up was tough. But through it all, man, it's special.
Love it, man. Person. I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks for being real on here.
Of course, man.
And then we just finish off with 3 questions at the end.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, first one.
Yes.
Thoughts on sports betting?
Sports betting is...
Should it be legal in college?
I ended up looking it up, man, and it's so funny because like when you look it up, it's like they have that rule in place to protect the athletes' like integrity. Right. And it's like, okay, like we can kind of see that, like, yeah, maybe an athlete, because we're not making that much money, in college, and, we might spend it all betting. But, man, I just think it's such a, it's such like a, controversial topic, but I fully support, betting
right.
In college.
Nice.
I think that would be cool.
Okay. Next one, favorite character from The Sandlot? Told you this was going to make sense.
Man. I forget his name. I think it was Smalls, the one with the glasses.
Oh, Squints?
Squints. There you go. He was my favorite. It was always one getting picked on, but I thought he was the coolest character.
Yeah.
I love The Sandlot.
And he married Wendy Peppercorn and had 7 kids.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, for real?
Yeah. No, at the end of the movie, like it said.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, I forget. I haven't watched them forever, man. I used to watch it with my dad because my dad's a big baseball fan.
Gotcha. So that's cool, man. All right, and then last one, advice. What advice would you give to yourself at your lowest point?
That's tough. Advice, man. I would definitely say just to smile. Just to keep on smiling, I think that cliche of fake it till you make it is very real. I think just smiling, man, and like what you had said earlier, different perspectives of kind of how you're looking at life. I think just smiling through it will prime your body. Will kind of confuse your body because, man, we can control our brains in many, many different ways that we don't even know yet. And I think just smiling, man, will trick our bodies, into making us feel better. So, man, just smiling through it, will go a long way.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Episode 20, Vince Thomson. Thank you, sir.
Of course, man.